Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. Today we're going to talk about the composite chart just a little bit, because in my celebrity videos I know I do talk about the composite, and if you don't know what it is, I still want you to be able to follow me. So this is a little 101 about what is a composite chart. In the last video that I just recorded, we were talking about what is synastry. If you don't know that, please check that video out. But now we're going to talk about what is a composite. A composite, you could say, is the birth chart of the relationship. And how do we get that? Well, first of all, we need the data of both people. We have Megan Fox here and Machine Gun Kelly. They both have their own birth chart, and then we put it over on top of the other here in the synastry. I was talking about synastry, and the synastry is showing you how compatible is a person, a couple. I mean, how compatible are they? Do they have a lot of lessons? It can show you about where you are in your own soul journey, because if you would attract somebody and there's a lot of red lines, like we do have some going on here between Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, then it means that you attracted this person because you have some unresolved issues, some inner karma, some inner balance that they are coming to teach you, to mirror back to you. And when you're more ascended, then of course you would attract somebody where you have a more easygoing relationship with, and you have a lot of those blue lines. However, there will also be some red lines. This is absolutely okay. Red lines just are challenges that can be overcome, and it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. You probably wouldn't find any chart where there's like no red lines at all, so don't worry about that. But again, now we want to talk about what is a composite chart. A composite chart is two people coming together. We have two energies. We got Megan and Machine Gun Kelly. And when they come together, they form a third energy, the energy of their relationship. So this is what the composite is. It doesn't show you as much as how they would interact with one another. That is what we do see in synastry, when we see how those planets interact with one another and what houses they fall. This is the birth chart of the relationship. And how do we get this composite? Well, for that we have to go back to synastry, or let's go to we see, for example, she's got the moon in Taurus, and she's got the sun in Taurus, and the moon is in Leo, and he also has the sun in Taurus and his moon in Cancer. So both have the sun in Taurus, and one person has the moon down here in Leo, and the other person has the moon here in Cancer. And what composite is the midpoint, which means if this moon would walk that way and her moon in Leo would walk that way, where would they meet? Okay, this is what we have, the composite, and it would meet here in Gemini. Again, one person's moon was here in Pisces and the other person's moon was here in Leo. If her moon would walk that way and his moon would walk that way, this is where it would meet. Okay, it would meet in Gemini. And of course, it's not a surprise if she has her sun in Taurus down here and he has his sun in Taurus as well. It's not a surprise that if those suns would walk towards one another, they would meet in Taurus. The composite is all of these placements. You know, we do have where's her Venus, for example. Her Venus is in Gemini and his Venus is in Pisces. So we have one Gemini, one Pisces, and if his Venus would walk this way and her would walk this way, where would they meet? Venus would meet in Taurus. And that is basically what the composite is. It is the middle of both of that, of their personal planet. Another important factor is, of course, the rising sign. You see, Machine Gun Kelly, he's got the rising sign in Gemini, the AC, and for Megan, it would be in Capricorn. So we got hers over here, his over here, and then we have to ask each other if those two rising signs would walk towards one another, where would they meet? And you can see they would meet in Pisces, I believe. Yeah, 29-degree Pisces down here. And the rising sign, of course, is very important because the rising sign is determining the houses. Unfortunately, and we do see it with those two here, we don't have his exact birth time, so we unfortunately don't have their AC either. This is, you see, well, it is right there, it's Libra. No, because remember, if we don't have somebody's exact time, it would take the middle point, the 12 o'clock here. So we don't have it exactly, we don't have his rising sign, and since we don't have his rising sign, we don't have the composite rising sign. So that is something you would have to discard, the rising sign and the house placements. What you can still use if you don't have one person's birth time is you can still use, oh, the sun is in Leo, which is no surprise because they are a very famous, or they're a very famous public couple. It would be even stronger, of course, it would if it actually would have been the 10th house. We don't know, maybe it is the 10th house if he happens to have the same rising sign, but the chance for that would be 1 to 12 because there's 12 rising signs. But yeah, they do have the sun in Leo, and we're talking about Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. That means they are a couple that gets a lot of the attention that Leo does, celebrity couple, and yeah, we see that here, but unfortunately we don't know the house. It would be way stronger if it would be the 12th house as well. Here, however, we do have the houses, which means, look at this, how amazing it is. They've got the sun in Taurus, which is a Venus house. They've got the Venus in Taurus, which is the Venus house, and Mercury as well. So this is, Venus is the planet of love. It's not the 7th house that is talking about relationship, but this can talk about self-worth, and also that maybe as a couple can get more recognition to be famous. This is not recognition, the 2nd house, but it is connected to money. So this could mean that they make money because they are together. Some, I don't know if they get commercial deals or whatever, but also the 2nd house, it's a Venus house, is connected to arts, and they're both artists, right? So this could be that they actually are muses for one another. So yeah, the composite, it shows you what struggles they have to overcome, what struggle does the relationship itself have to overcome. And we do have some friction when it comes to sex and Venus. Actually, that's a good thing. And the composite, a square between Mars and Venus, is a good thing. Why? Because it brings you some friction, which means sex does not get boring. And they may have to overcome some stuff when it comes to really transforming, because Pluto is connected to transforming itself, to healing itself, and you do see we do have some stuff going on. And the opposite is not, the opposition is not as bad. In composite, it just means balancing something out. So they constantly would have to balance out constant transforming and becoming a better person and shedding stuff. So you can basically read the composite chart as a birth chart. So if you don't find information out there too much, like what does the sun and the 2nd house in Taurus mean in a composite chart, then you can just Google it and read what does the sun mean in Taurus, what does the sun mean in the 2nd house, and it will tell you, yeah, if you have the sun in your birth chart in Taurus, it means XYZ, and then you can just apply this to the entire relationship, because again, this is the energy of their relationship. And yeah, that's what a composite is. It shows you, yeah, it's the birth chart of the relationship. You don't need the exact the exact time when they got together. We do have the time of when they were born. And again, the composite, it's the midpoint. It's every planet meeting in the center. And then this third energy starts to create. Something that I found interesting with Kanye West and like they, for example, they don't have strong, if I'm not mistaken, they don't have, yeah, you see her Saturn is unaspected, and his Saturn doesn't form any aspects, especially for only to the North Node, which means that, yeah, he is important for North Node. He may have given her some lessons. He will stay in her life for a long time. But usually long-lasting relationships, and you probably saw it in my celebrity videos, almost all couples that at least were together, even if they're not together, have an aspect between Saturn and another person's personal planet. Usually it would be Sun, Moon, or Venus sign, and they don't. But we do see in the composite that they do have this line between Saturn and Venus, which can indicate why they did stay together for I don't know how many years, but they were together. So yeah, again, the composite is the third energy. It is the energy of the relationship as well. And why do we check it? Because here we see again how they influence one another. Influence doesn't have to be a bad thing. How they react about one another. How do they help each other grow? How do they complement each other? Could be another factor here. But also, how do they support each other? Are they serious about the relationship? Everything like this. And then here we do see more like the energy of the relationship as well. If you do have some toxic stuff here going on, but a beautiful composite chart, that could make it even out. It would show you, yes, we do have some negative stuff going on in our relationship. And as we were saying, like for example, those two, they do have some not so easy, and say here. And then we have to check the third energy to see how are the chances to overcome the difficulties. What's the energy of the relationship as well? So if we do have a lot of positive stuff, we do see, does it translate here? They do have some squares going on, and I wouldn't actually put too much into this, because we do have the opposition. That just means you always have to balance something out. We do have Mars here. That by itself could be a little bit toxic. However, they do have so much good stuff going on here. The moon is very important, which means they probably don't fight much, because this means Mars is supporting each other's emotional needs. And if you are helping each other on an emotional basis, that of course implies that it's not toxic. And then we do have the Sun connected to Venus and to Jupiter, and also Taurus is not an aggressive placement as well, and also Aquarius is not very aggressive. Aquarius energy is more like, yeah, when you want to fight, I leave. I don't feel like fighting much, and they fight with words. Like the fighting style of Mars and Aquarius would be, I try to be the smarter person here. And also they are a bit aloof and detached. They would rather in a moment detach. It's not a very... it is connected to Uranus, so it is impulsive, yes, but not impulsive when it comes to aggression. So also the 11th house, the second house, I wouldn't see that this would be a very bad thing. I just would see this as, yeah, they would have to put some effort into transforming, and maybe they have to learn to actually do that. So yeah, that is basically another information about when you have the synastry. If there's bad stuff, is it still a good energy when it comes to the relationship? And it would give you additional information on whether or not you're able to overcome the red lines here. That is why I like to include that. And another thing I do, you saw me do in my videos, since this is the relationship of the energy, and here we are looking about how do two people that meet each other influence one another. And another thing I do is that I take this third energy and put it on top of each of their birth charts to see how does not the other person influence them, but how does the relationship itself influence them, benefit them. So that is something I personally like to do. I don't know if other astrologers do that. I came up with that. Spirit gave me that information to do that, but probably I'm not the only one. Spirit often gives information to several people, which is smart because one person may not actually apply it and then they have backup. Another thing that I would like to add is that a synastry shows you how you interact with the other person, also in your private life. But the composite could more be like also how do others perceive you. Maybe when you have met your friends and you have always acted around your friends in a certain way, and then you meet them together with your new boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, whoever it is, then maybe your friends will say something like, oh, you act completely different around this person. Reasons for that, of course, can be found in synastry as well, because they may have a very calming effect. Let's say you always had like a bit of a temper, and then they have a very beautiful, maybe like a trining, soothing aspect connected to your Mars. That could of course say that they do calm you down, or it falls into their 12th house or something like that, then you would be calmer around them, of course. But the composite shows us also how do other people perceive us. And of course here the rising sign is especially important. If people have the sun in the first house, for example, then it's a couple that needs to also look about how do we represent ourselves as a couple. But again, the composite shows you what's the energy of the relationship itself and what do we need to learn. This is just how do we interact with each other, and this goes a little bit deeper. It shows the energy of the relationship and also the problems that may come up in the relationship. I mean, we do see that in synastry as well. But it shows what positive aspects again do we have and what lessons need to be learned. Maybe one of you would be a very private person, and then you would have your sun in the 10th house, which means that now that you are with this person, or maybe both were like private, and then since they are together they get some kind of recognition, or it helps each other to find the right career, or they are really career oriented. The sun in the 2nd house, for example, could be a couple that is working together, and they may have completely different ideas when it comes to their work life, and then they meet and they find ideas about how to work, and then it could be a power couple. A power couple would be also like a sun in the 10th house, for example. And people perceive you different when you are alone than when you are with your person, and you probably have noticed this as well. And this person could be anyone. It could be your sibling, it could be your best friend. Maybe sometimes you're more sincere, you have friends that you talk more, maybe you have a great Mercury connection, not just in synastry, but also in your composite, and then you talk about completely different topics with one person, and then other people would, if they met you with this one friend, they would see you as somebody who's really chilled and laid back. And then maybe you have this other friend, and with them you're very adventurous and you like to go out and do sports. And that could, of course, be connected to synastry. Are there connections that calm you down or that give you energy? Are there connections that great Mercury connections where you could talk and talk and talk for hours, but you don't like to go out and do sports. You rather chill somewhere and you can talk about anything. Then maybe you have a very playful connection with another person, and you will find that as well when we look at synastry. What is the energy between two people? And this shows you, I don't want to say the future because I don't believe in the future, but let's say potential. Synastry shows you, are you a match or not? Okay, and if you're not a match, then not at all, then maybe synastry won't be able to save you. If you are a good match, you just have some kind of lessons, then this would show you, is it more easier for you to achieve that, or is it harder for you? What are the challenges in this specific relationship, but also what are the amazing things going on in this specific relationship. And but again, if you are in a toxic relationship, your composite doesn't matter anymore, because then if this is bad, then this won't save you, basically. If your person is not treating you in a good way, this basically shows you, like, if you put in the work, is there like another energy, the relationship itself, is it beneficial or not? However, even if you do have some stuff going on here, it does not have to be bad. I was talking about this connection. Yeah, there is a lot of red going on. However, it's the 11th house with the 2nd house. So there's so much good stuff going on here as well. And the moon has a positive connection, which is the most important, so that I wouldn't give too much in here, because they feel emotionally safe with one another. Maybe they butt heads a little. That can be with Mars. Maybe they may have different hobbies. I don't know. That they may have be into different activities. That could this mean that there is something like that going on, but emotionally they do feel safe with one another, and that's a beautiful thing. It would be harsher if this would be a square, to be honest. So yes, if you like this, don't forget to hit the bell icon, subscribe, check out my other content, and if you want to book your own personal analysis, I am available, and I would love to read you and your person's charts. And yeah, my contact information is below. Don't forget to check out my other content, and be happy. Best wishes. Bye.